It is now my pleasure to introduce today's panel. Senior Master Sergeant Boston Alexander. Technical Sergeant Latoria Ellis. Senior Airman Arif Hawk. Let's begin today's session by asking each of the panel members to answer this question. If you had to choose one of the three Air Force's core values that most resonates with who you are and what you do, which one would it be and why?
I'll tell you what, Airman Hawk, you'll go first. No? All right, no problem. General Williams, distinguished military and civilian leaders, cadets, whatever class you're from, 16, 15, whatever it is. My fellow outstanding airmen, go ahead and stand for me, the ones in the crowd. And so now we're ready to get this thing started, right? So your question is core values, right? Core, foundation. Without it, you're nothing. And you say, which core value resonates most with me?
Yes, sir.
That's a difficult question. And so, since I'm not a man of very few words, and my teammates warned me about this, that some things could happen if I took most of the time here, but I'll take my chances. Got it. Well, I'll say one, let's run down the core values for just a minute. If you would, indulge me. We say integrity first. And if I should run through this crowd and go, what does integrity mean to you? Most people would go, doing the right thing when no one is looking. Why is that? Well, that's what you're told in basic, that's what you're told every day here at USAFA, and that's what most people around you in the military say. Well, let's flip that for a second. How about doing the right thing when everyone is looking? How about making that call when it's the unpopular call? Service before self, huh? Huh? Didn't say service and no self. But at some point, if it gets closer than 51-49, if you start believing it's you over the service, I'd submit you got to find somewhere else to work. Excellence. Got to be a habit. Show of hands, real quick question. Did anyone here wake up this morning and went, hey, great day to be mediocre? Anyone? No takers, right? So I believe most people get up and go about their day and go, hey, I'm going to go do great things. And you're successful sometimes you fail. But you got to keep trying. So what resonates most, right? Answer your question now. I think they're all equal for me. But if I had to go with one, I'm going to take excellence. Because at the core, if you're the best person you are, right? If you're about this, if you're all in, like Chief Vasquez says all the time, if you're all in, then your integrity will not be in question. Service before self will be where it needs to be for you, and you're going to give every task your best. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be successful at everything you do. Not saying it at all. But hey, you can still stick your chest out, push those shoulders up when you have done what you're supposed to do. Excellence is a habit. I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give it my 100. And so, at everything I do, it might not measure up to what you think or what you think is the best. But hey, I'm giving you 100% effort, what I can do. That's it. That's it for me. So I think excellence is what I would choose.
Next question, please. Sorry, next question. Okay. So for me, what resonates with me the most would be service before self. So I take myself back to the time when I was at the MELP station and I raised my right hand and I committed to that oath. So with that oath is what we signed up to do. I have to remember that I can never put my personal wishes ahead of what I'm here to do. So with that, we also have to show respect for others and make sure that we're carrying out our commitment. So at the end of the day, put on the uniform, do the service, and keep it moving.
So the core values is, you hear me, right? When someone asks me that question, I'm always like, it's like asking me, which one of your kids do you favor the most? It's a difficult question for me to answer. Chief hit on the same points as in excellence in all we do. But for me, what resonates the most, I think is a cornerstone and foundational of our core value is integrity first, because you are not going to be doubted or questioned if you have integrity on everything that you do. It's a habit, it's a trait, it's a personal trait. Not every one of us is going to give it 100% every time. We just have, some bad days and good days, and sometimes we might question: are we committed to the service? That's when you have to realign yourself. But with integrity, it's a personal trait. You want the best person. You want the best person for the job. Others won't. They will follow in suit. So we'll keep it short. So any questions?
You didn't plan that, right? To each get one of the core values? That wasn't. Okay. So we'll open up the forum to questions. If you have a question, just raise your hand. I'll pick on you. Stand up. Say where you're from. All that good stuff. Who's gonna do it? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Golding. I'm from Chelsea, Michigan, and I would just like to know what's the one piece of advice you give to new LPs that's about to push it over.
So what's one piece of advice that you would give to newly commissioned LTs?
I'm not so sure I can give you one piece. So I'll give you this. Words spoken by General of the Army MacArthur about 5 decades ago at West Point. This sums it up for you, young lieutenant. Duty, honor, country. That's what you ought to be. That's what you should be. And if you're doing everything in line with that, you're going to be fine. Now that's broad, right? You may go, well, he read the speech or he heard the speech by General MacArthur and he comes here and goes, yeah, duty, honor, country. This is bigger than you, one. Bigger than you, bigger than me. We are the greatest air, space, and cyberspace force known to man, bar none. Bar none. Our intricate plans, cutting-edge technology, and oh, by the way, the finest jets money can buy. Whatever weapon system. They're just that without people. So do understand that your job, right, is to ignite the human spirit. And that's the most dangerous weapon in our arsenal. So find out what it is that it takes to make your people tick. And that means as a leader sometimes, you got to first be a good subordinate. Doesn't mean you relinquish your role as a leader, but there's somebody there that knows more than you. Find those people. Might be officers, might be enlisted. And you've heard this a million times, right? Find that good senior NCO and latch on to that person. But just remember it's bigger than you. And it comes down to duty, honor, country. And if it lines up with that, you follow that code, you're going to be fine, Lieutenant.
So my one piece of advice I can give you, I can boil down to one word, and that's credibility. So when you enter a new duty station, you have to make sure you come with credibility. At the end of the day, you want to make sure your airmen, whoever you're leading, are ready to lead you. You can't go in with any integrity flaws or things of that nature, because at the end of the day, we're all warriors. We're going to be out there in the battlefield, and you're going to want to make sure your people can follow you. So if you step in with credibility, you'll have the backing of your people, and you're a soldier. Thank you.
It's going to be pretty simple and easy for me. Get to know your airmen. NCO, fellow officers, just get to know your airmen, your fellow coworkers, your colleagues. Everybody has something to bring to the table. So everybody has something to bring to the fight. So if you don't latch on to one person and understand what they're really about, you can always move on to the next person. Don't discount anybody. That's pretty much it.
Okay, I have a question. What has been your proudest moment as an airman and why?
I swear these questions are fixed. So I'm going to give this side some love because we've been over here a little bit. My proudest moment as an airman. I'll tell you this, there are tons of them. I'm not so sure either I can pick one out. I'll try though. For me, it's a particular honor, right, to even be standing here today. Let's face it, I'm probably the most unlikeliest candidate to be standing here. I'm a skinny, bald-headed kid born in a foreign country with talks funny and has a funny name. Who names their kid Boston? I'm not from Boston. My parents are not from Boston. They're not fans of any teams from Boston. In fact, last November was the first time I went to Boston. And so, a kid that was born in Kingston, Jamaica, fast forward nearly 2 decades later, I'm standing here talking to future leaders of the greatest airspace and cyberspace force known to man. How does that happen? That's quite proud, big moment. So I've accomplished a great deal in person and also with teams. I am not standing here because I'm good. I'm no better than any airman out there in our Air Force. Simply put, I had great leaders that gave me opportunities, great mentors that sometimes gave me a swift kick in the you-know-what. Phenomenal airmen, sailors, soldiers, and Marines that I lead. And so somewhere in the middle of all of that, and great family support, somewhere in the middle of all of that, I'm the face of some accomplishment, and so I'm here today to talk. You say, what makes me most proud? Tons of things. I could go on for hours, and as you could tell, I could talk. But I'm going to take you back to 2008. I was a young first sergeant at the time, and I had an airman that was battling Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm surprised I pronounced that, but he was battling that, and he was in a hospital downtown Las Vegas. So I went to visit this airman, saw the doctors first, commander and I. Doctors tell me this airman has got about 48 hours left to live. And so, you know, no matter how tough you think you are, I'm going in there and I'm shaking like a leaf. I'm going, man, this airman is about 22 years old. How could this be happening? This can't be fair. This can't be life. And so I go in to see this airman. And as I go in to talk to this airman, I shook his hand. Felt like a 6-month-old baby. The strength was gone. Long story short, the body had given up, but the spirit was still there. And this airman didn't want to talk about his pain. He didn't want to talk about him reaching the end, because as far as he was concerned, this wasn't over. The only thing on that airman's mind was, when can I get back to the flight line, First Sergeant? How is my jet doing? How are my airmen? I'm going, what's going on? And we have those moments in life, right, when we go, well, my coffee wasn't warm enough this morning. Oh, so my cookies didn't get heated. You think you're going through things. And the pride to me at that moment to go, I'm looking at a guy that's got less than 48 hours to live. And this guy's busy. He's about to die, but he's busy living. His spirit, the spirit of an airman, the spirit of a warrior was in Isaac Tutunji. That's his name. And so his last words to me were, hey, my airman, I'm going to beat this First Sergeant. I'm going to be back out there fixing my jet. It's about putting warheads on foreheads as far as he was concerned. Well, he lost the battle. But what makes me proud about that? He gave all, he died, But he died as an airman, died fired up, and I go, man, you think you're going through things, Alexander, get it together. I was proud to be a part of Isaac's Air Force. That's my moment. Carry that with me every day. And so often, I'm coming through the snow just now, right? And I'm going, this sucks. I know I'm not the only one. I'm going, my hands are frozen. I was a chucklehead. I left my gloves in my truck. What's going on? Play it back for a second. You're not going through anything. You're an airman. Proud to be here. That's my moment. Part of my testimony.
Man, he just leaves me hanging every time, right? Okay. So my proudest moment, obviously, as Sergeant Alexander said, being here in front of you wearing this badge is monumentous to us. So, but with that being said, I'm a people person. I love my people. I love my troops. I love my airmen. So I'll give you my most recent proudest moment. I have a young A1C. She just came into the Air Force roughly 5 months ago. And as you all can see, I'm very intimidating, right? Very intimidating. So every time I see Airman Rodriguez in the hallway, I call her Hot Rod. She goes the other way. She sees me coming and she runs the other way. So I asked the other airmen and they said, well, ma'am, she's intimidated by you. She's scared of you. Okay. It happens. So, so she comes to my desk last Friday and she comes up to me and she says, ma'am, I got something I want to show you. And so I look up from my computer and she's already gone. But she left a piece of paper on my desk. And then she sends me an email and she says, can you read that, please? Okay, no problem. So I read the paper, and it's a college paper that Hot Rod just wrote for one of her classes. And within it, it was a paper asking who you admire the most. It was me. And so, yeah, getting a little emotional. But for me to know that I inspire her this much, and she doesn't even have that much interaction with me, it just means so much to me. It lets you know that the influence that you have goes far beyond your reach or what you can see. So that just made me so proud to know that she views me in that way. So,
Tell you what, that's a tough act to follow. Like, I don't even know what to say. But I can really boil it down to one thing, and I haven't been in the Air Force long enough to say. But the proudest moment for me was donning this uniform, having the honor and privilege to be able to serve. I don't know if you guys read my bio, and I was it was a lot of shameful moments in my life about my background, coming up, growing up. So I came to the States from Bangladesh when I was 9 years old, and you guys don't have to, follow the immigration policies that we have, but it was tough and it's bad. So you can say I was illegal immigrant in the country for 20 years, and I battled trying to get proper documentation to live in the States, so I call home. And so in 2007, I was put in deportation proceedings. That was 9/11, all this other stuff. And I battled for 3 years trying to get a permanent residency. I've been here all this time, went to school, grew up. I don't know anything other than the States. Finally, when I was awarded my green card in 2010, I thought, all the adversaries and the trials and tribulations passed, but it hadn't. I felt discriminated, and I felt like a second-class citizen. So I said, I want to earn my citizenship. I wanted a way that I can take it and say, this is mine, I earned it, nobody's going to be able to take it away. And I decided I want to serve, and serving is how I'm going to earn my citizenship. So at basic, I became an airman, an American airman, as the proudest moment of my life. So I'm sure there's going to be more to follow in the future, but that's what I have so far.
Next question. So how have you balanced your professional life and personal life within the military.
Okay, good. So I told you I'm not that good. My wife calls me Mr. Air Force. My wife says, be it 10, 12, whatever years from now, she's like, you're gonna be that guy that shows up to the building with your walker, with your ID card going, let me in, I can still do it. And so, I'll tell you, my wife, we're a team. So my wife is a big piece of that balance going, hey look, you're not first sergeant, you're not superintendent in this house. Your dad and your husband. It takes me a while to figure that out, I guess. But balancing, it's a part of, when we say service before self, again, I said earlier, right, service, it doesn't say service and no self. So if I'm not taking care of me, physically, spiritually, emotionally, I can't be the best airman. So at some point I had to line it up, right, and decide I gotta be excellent at this balance thing too. I'm not all the way there yet, still working on it. So you know what you need to do, and if I'm not my best me, if I'm not sharp enough, if I'm not fired up like I am right now, which I am normally like this, but if I'm not that way, then I'm no good to my airmen, I'm no good to my Air Force. So my wife helps with that. I'm just gonna be very honest, gotta give her credit. Helps with it a whole lot, going, hey, you think you might wanna, got it. So my wife helps with that. My kids help with that too, because hey, there's nothing more to me like going home and seeing my daughters. So my kids help with that, wife help with that, and I'm sorry I don't have one of those answers to give you, but you watch what you need to do, break it up in chunks. Hey, tackle it, one war at a time. Break it down, tackle it like you're supposed to. And in the back of my head, if I'm not the best me, physically, spiritually, then I'm not the best airman. So I've got to work on that and keep working on that. So you know what you need to do. There must do's, should do's. You'll figure that out as time goes by. And for me, if you're lucky enough, you'll get a solid partner like I have that goes, hey, let me talk to you. And hey, I'm not too impressed by you and a lot of those things you think you are. So that's my piece.
Okay, so for me, I just got a personal life 2 years ago, and then I had a baby 7 months ago, and he took that away. So it's slightly difficult trying to have a balance with everything, but you just have to put everything into perspective. You have to prioritize. You have your service, service before self, and then you also have your family. If your family's not doing good, if you can't have a conscious mind when you're at work knowing that they're taken care of, then you can't perform for us. So you just have to make sure you have that equal, even balance. And that's what we teach and that's what we preach, and so that's what we try to do. So with all things, I do have a spouse. He helps out a lot, and he just keeps me grounded. So.
Same here. I have to credit my wife for everything. But I don't balance anything in the Air Force anymore. I feel like it has balanced everything for me. It was a constant struggle on the outside, worries about paying bills, going to school, managing rent, coming from New York City. So all that stressors of balancing life right now, it feels, it's the best balance I've had. And I don't have to worry about it. I just want to be an airman, and that's pretty much how I balance my life. And if I get out of line, my wife reminds me, get back on track. So it's all my wife.
Yes, ma'am.
On your journey to get here, did you ever encounter any discrepancies with the system with other people that you deal with, and how did you?
So journey to get here as a 12 outstanding, or journey to get here as a senior master sergeant, or just Air Force journey? Discrepancies as in? All right, I'll do my best to answer that for you. Yes, you're gonna meet people, and you're gonna encounter situations that make you go, scratch your head sometime and go, I can't make this up. Not happening. You're gonna have situations with policies too that makes you go, is this really going on? Now I'm quite tenacious. And so, sometimes you'll find things with our policies or AFIs or whatever, and it takes leadership at all levels. You know? So it's not always just rolling and taking no for an answer. In the words of General Welsh, it's our Air Force. We can change it if we want to, right? Of course, within the letter of the law. We're not talking doing illegal or immoral things. But there's certain things that we go, well, this is an AFI and it's kind of subjective, and we go, well, I'm just gonna put lights on my shoes, right? Because no one said, it's not an AFI, no one said I can't put lights on my shoes. Well, that's boneheaded. You know, so an airman shows up with lights on his or her shoes, what do? Well, it's not an AFI, I guess I gotta leave them. It comes down to military image, right? Quite broad. So I'll challenge that. So yes, I've faced many situations, both policies in both people, and it takes leadership. You know, it's why is it that way? Well, everyone knows they. That's what they said. That's how it's been like that. You gotta challenge the norm sometimes. The norm is not always right. You know, so I'll just say, be a leader, fall back in your character, be respectful. And I don't think, actually, I've not encountered any true leaders in our Air Force that wants a yes man or yes woman. They want candid feedback. Sir, ma'am, this is not right. And here's why don't just come with a problem now. Think it through, bring a solution. Here's why it's not right. And here's what I propose to make things better for our Air Force. It's your Air Force, you can change it.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. Have you ever encountered any discrepancies with the system or people you have to deal with, and how did you deal with them?
Any discrepancies with the system? It's kind of difficult for me to answer. Like Sergeant Alexander was saying, we do have a lot of policies that get pushed down and issued out. Do we agree with them all? No. But do we have to follow them? Yes. It's a difference between being a yes man and following the regulations. So with that being said, as you all go out into the world, when you graduate and you become lieutenants, you're going to be the change agents within your unit. You're going to have to make sure you do the buy-in first to make sure your people buy into those new policies. When you have discrepancies, yes, take those up. Always complain up, not down. So take those issues up with your leadership and then try to work it out amongst the regulations. That answer kind of okay? Okay.
It'll be pretty simple and easy for me. It was with people, and with people, it's complacency. That's the most discrepancy, I would say, if that answers your question. Complacency. You have to actually get someone to do something when that's their job, that's what they're getting paid for, and mediocrity is their standard. I think that's firewall 5 right there. There are people that just aren't motivated, and they're motivated by selfish things. So being complacent in the mission, that's pretty much the worst thing I've encountered. So does that answer your question?
So Airman Hawk, you've already kind of answered this one, but for you two, why did you choose to enlist?
I'm a small-time girl from Miami, Florida. So, no, but it was pretty simple for me. I was in ROTC program my whole high school career. I was in the Marines ROTC program, Army ROTC program, and I joined the Air Force. So I saw what they had to offer, and I came this way. But I saw the no offense to our fellow service. For me, I saw the education benefits that the Air Force could provide for me. So I was one of those airmen that were like, 4 years, get my degree, I'm done. Here I am 11 years later. I do have a degree, so I don't think it took me that long. But so once I was in, I saw what the Air Force provided me. It not only provided me those monetary benefits, but it provided a culture. It provided a lifestyle. I like the lifestyle. I like the culture. I like the family environment. So I stayed in, I kept pushing, and here I am.
So my dad's an Army vet. Obviously, I made better choices. I like guns. I'm being honest. Like guns. Saw a few war movies. Didn't so much like school. Got a few degrees myself. Didn't quite like school, and so my dad started going, hey, bud, you got to do something. And so I'm living in D.C., and I decide I'm going to be a Marine. I'm going to kill, I'm going to drive tanks. That's what I'm going to do. Somewhere along the line, going to the recruiter station, the Air Force recruiter got a hold of me. Hey, give me your social. Come on, man. I'm going to be a trained killer. I'm good. Give me your social. Hey, you're going to join the Marines with these scores. Well, yeah, I want to fire guns. That's what I want to do. Goes, hey, I could pay you a little bit more than the Marines will pay you. I could double it. Real story. Best lie I've ever been told. And so I decided I'm just going to do my 4 years. I'm going to do my 4 years, and I'm going to get a degree, and I'm going to get back to D.C., and I'm going to link up with my friends in D.C., and I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to live the American dream. 4 turned to 8, 8 to 16, and so on. Still here doing it. I want to believe after Airmen Leadership School at my four-year point, something happened. Not sure what that something is. There were no bands playing, no angels were singing, but I just felt it. And I want to believe at that point, I sat there after the graduation at ALS and I'm going, what exactly is this about? And sometimes life has a way of showing things to you. I think, and according to my reading, most people that would say that's a great person, they all believe in something greater than themselves. So whether some say God, some say Buddha, some say whatever it is, they believe in some force, some power, some energy greater than self. I want to believe at my 4-year point, I realized that this was way greater than me. I liked it too. I'd go into town. I went back to DC on recruiter's assistance. As I'd walk downtown, folks would come up to you. I had like 2 ribbons at the time. Basic training, and yeah, I love guns, but I wasn't a marksman then. But basic training and national defense. And so I'd have someone come up and go, hey, what's that? Hey, thanks for serving. And I'm going, what have I got myself into? So I stayed. I love it. So I don't know, I might go to some building with my walker in 20, 30 years and still say, hey, let me in. I don't know. That could happen, But, I joined simply because, one, there was nothing else to do. My dad was like, hey, he's like, you should join the Air Force. Hey, I'm a chocolate. I'm not listening to the old man. I'll be a Marine. And so a staff sergeant told me a story that really wasn't necessarily true, but I believe that force put him in my life. We were supposed to meet. I'm supposed to be here. Proud to be a part of this.
Fifth class Airmen from 2035 in Kansas City, Missouri. Can you describe one of the most difficult challenges you faced and how you overcame it?
So what has been one of the most difficult challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome that?
So I come in the Air Force, and I'm thinking this is going to be professional, and we're going to have like the best airmen there is. And when I talked about complacency earlier, the most challenge I faced was with my first line supervisors. Talk about complacent. They wouldn't go to the job if they didn't need to, kind of thing. And I want to get there, I want to get things done, I want to learn my job, ask questions, and just keep moving along. But these guys just wanted to slow things along and just take it easy. So the most challenging thing I had to do is not get complacent, not fall in line with what they're doing, and not to badmouth them, but not do what they're doing, and not get sidetracked, pretty much. because they did all they can to sweep me under the rug because I'm not part of the crew or the crowd. And it took a mass sergeant, our shop NCLS, to change the culture in the shop, to really tell these guys, you're an airman, you're not here to watch sports and hang out in the lounge and put work second and so on and so forth. And I actually stayed on track. That was the hardest part, how to stay on track with this culture of everybody else is doing all this and I'm not. So that's pretty much it.
So I think my most difficult challenge came to me when I was a young staff sergeant. So as a young staff sergeant, we say awarded, it's not the proper term, but I was given my first troop to supervise. So we're all a voluntary force, right? We all wanted to come into the military. So how do you tell someone that what they wanted to do, they can no longer do it? So I essentially had to end his career. I had a young airman, A1C. He calls me one day at my desk. He says, Sergeant Glover, that was me at the time, I left my CAT card on base, my ID card. I said, okay, I'll send someone to the gate to get you. So, as my chief said, you always got to peel the onion back. Oh yeah, by the way, I was supposed to test out of my CDCs today, and I missed my test. Okay, so, Airman Snuffy, why did you miss your test? Oh, by the way, I had 6 glasses of wine last night, and I drove on base, and I'm still kind of drunk. So with that being said, needless to say, we had to go through all the processes, do the breathalyzer, take them over, do all the paperwork. We don't kick you out for one offense. We all make mistakes. We preach resiliency. I'm deployed. About 4 months later, I get an email from the command chief. He says, because mind you, I had to report to the command chief when the incident happened, the protocol. Hey, Sergeant Glover, hope your deployment's going well in Iraq. Just thought you should know your airman got another DUI within 4 months span. So with that being said, as soon as I came home, I literally did not in process for my deployment. I was out processing my airman. So I know you all will say, well, you can't feel bad about that because he made those choices. But at the end of the day, I felt responsible because I was his supervisor. So you can't beat yourself up about what others choose to do. You can only hope that they do the right thing. But that was still a difficult point in my career, so.
Wow. So, as young lieutenants, right, you need to be wary, keep an eye open for a good guy, good gal, great fella, he's my best worker. You need to keep an eye open for that person. Why? So, I'll take you back to Vegas again, one of my favorite cities. So I've got a staff sergeant, and I'm an aircraft maintenance squadron first sergeant. Got a staff sergeant working in the unit. And I'll tell you, this young man, he was a specialist. He could take apart the engine of an F-16 probably with his eyes closed. One of the best technicians. I think he's probably the best we had in the squadron at the time. Technician, keep that. Technician. And so, GT, as I will just call him here for the sake of this, GT, works real hard, coming every day. But GT was not a very good airman. Great technician, but not a good airman. Many transgressions in GT's wake, but straw that broke the camel's back, GT worked 12-hour shift, decided he was gonna stay a couple extra hours on the line, help out the fellers, according to him, that's how he talks. And so, he helped out the fellas for another 2 hours, and then GT goes to a bar in Las Vegas in his ABUs. Another senior master sergeant sees GT, goes, GT, you can't stay here. You're in uniform, and by the way, his beer is about this big. I just want to finish my beer. I don't think you understand, but you can't do this. So he takes off his ABU jacket. you know? So I'm no longer in uniform. I'm gonna finish my beer. I just worked 14 hours. Look, man, you can't do this. So this senior master sergeant and his crew that's TDY out there, they go, this just doesn't look right. So GT starts gambling also at the table. You know, he wasn't trying to win, according to him when he talked to me in the morning, just blowing off some steam for a sergeant. All right, long story short, what happens later that evening, GT now picks up his keys. Senior Master Sergeant goes, not on my watch. So he had finished that beer. Senior Master Sergeant and crew tries to stop him, go, look, we'll just give you a ride to your house, trying to be good wingmen. GT goes, nope, I can drive. Gets out to the parking lot, fights off a couple of guys, gets in his car. Gets in his car, they try to stand in front of the car. He hits the gas, goes at them. Luckily, they escape. In the morning, I call GT down to my office. All right, go, hey, we got to talk. No need to read me my rights first, Sergeant. I'm going to be honest with you. That's the kind of guy he is. He's not going to tell you a lie. Give you the shirt off his back. But he was a crappy airman. Good technician, not so good airman. So it comes down to it. Take him down to senior airman. And now the commander and I goes, well, what do we do? And so I've got his flight chief, I've got from his first line supervisor all the way up to his AMU leadership going, he's a good fella, he's a great guy, he's my best worker. I kind of believe that too, that he's a good guy. Believe he's a great worker. Wonderful technician, phenomenal technician, crappy airman. What do you think, what do you think happened? Is he still in our Air Force today? Well, why not? He's a good guy. Great fella. Best technician there is. So I'm going to tell you this. Difficult for me. But again, the closest it can be is 5149, 51 Air Force. It can't be 50-50. It can't be that member over the Air Force. It has to be. We're an organization that's run off good order and discipline. Those decisions are difficult. Now, as a first sergeant, I'm an advisor. Oh, and by the way, the chief was gone too, so I'm filling two roles. So the commander is looking at me and go, what do we do? Yeah, he's got to go. Difficult call, because now I got, hey, that's my best guy on the line, right? But we made it up, crappy airman. So he had to go.
Yes, ma'am. So in preparation for working basic training this summer, what advice would you give to people who are aspiring to be cadres, and what is your best memory from BMT?
Well, memory, keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, do what you need to do. But what an awesome task, though, right? You're shaping civilians, making them into airmen. I don't think you get any better than that. So for a kid with a bad attitude, a funny name, and a bald-headed, skinny kid, now I'm an airman. It started there. That's the foundation. So you get an opportunity now, right, to mold America's sons and daughters, to turn, little dudes and dudettes with bad attitudes into airmen. I don't think it gets any better than that. And I think it goes back to knowing now, right, that you're now training the custodians of our nation's defense. You got to take it seriously. I think you do. You got to take it seriously. And I know you're young, you're cadets. A lot of you don't have kids. But how would you want to be treated? Your brother, your sister, how would you want them to be treated? You can't compromise the standard, right? Because we're trying to make them into lean, mean killing machines. But think about it. There was a time when you didn't know as much as you do now. So nurture them. Feed them. They want to be great. They want to be led. They're looking at you, even when you don't think they are. So be that example. Be the example. America is dependent on you.
So with that, we all remember basic. We had some good times and some bad times. So my advice would be let them eat cake. I miss the cake, but no, I'm playing. So at the end of the day, just remember their people. Remember how you all were talked to if you felt a certain type of way, if you felt disrespected when you went through it, if someone hurt your feelings or really upset you. Try not to go down that road. Yes, we need to get them to a point where we need them to be trained warriors and warfighters, but to what extent? The Air Force does have a slight problem with suicides, and we need to be stewards of that. We need to be watchful, and we need to be wingman. So if you're being too harsh or too hard, you never know what the person is going through or what type of day they had. So just be mindful of that. And at the end of the day, just treat them like people.
Chief said everything. I don't think there's anything to say. But don't take it personal. It's not personal. It's work. You're going to mold them. You're going to grow them. You're going to feed them. And they're going to be airmen. But don't get consumed and take it personal. You're going to have bad attitude airmen, and they're going to say things. Well, I'm sure if they don't say things, you'll hear it around. Don't take it personal, because they want to get out of there as much as you do, and you want to get them through it. So just remain professional.
So one thing I think we've discussed that the cadet wing struggles with, we'll say, is accountability. So how do you instill accountability within your airmen so that everyone's kind of on the same team and working towards those goals and values of the Air Force?
Attitudes are infectious. You may hear it like leaders wear their attitudes on their sleeves, right? Probably heard that before, some of us in here. Accountability, it starts with you. It starts with you, each and every one of you in here. You gotta walk the talk. It can't be do as I say, not as I do. It starts with you. If you're setting that example, right? Then, hey, it can't be, well, I'm gonna do this, but I expect my subordinates to do that. It starts with you. So if you're that example, and oh, by the way, in the words of General Bill Creech, I know no more ruinous path than selective adherence to or enforcement of standards. It can't be sometimes I'll do this, sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll hold you accountable. Don't walk past a problem, correct it right there. Because the minute you walk past that problem, you've just validated that behavior as appropriate. And oh, by the way, people are watching, even when you don't think they are. So it starts with you, right? Excellence, service, integrity. It starts with you. And if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then those around you will see that, and they'll rise up. Thousands of kids out there, right? Wanted to be like Mike. Fast forward, some wanted to be like Kobe. Some wanted to be like LeBron. Some wanted to be like Tom Brady. Some Peyton Manning. Standards, right? Example. You're setting that example. Work. Dedication, right? To your craft, master your craft. This is our craft. There is none better than it. Profession of arms. None better. Do you believe in it? Because I'll tell you this, the people you lead, they can smell the fake cologne or fake perfume from a mile away. If you're not genuine, if you're not about what you're supposed to be about, they know. And the line is there. And if you keep backing up, what becomes the standard? What becomes the standard? Hold the line. Hold your people to standards. Be fair, be impartial. Set the example. You'll be fine.
Okay, so how do I instill accountability into my airmen? Within my personal realm, my unit, my duty station, I'm able to do that through empowerment. So with that, I empower my airmen, mainly my senior airmen. I give them tasks, I give them duties, I give them jobs that I would normally do myself. And once they complete those tasks, the words I like to hear is, Sergeant Ellis, you were right. So they come back to me and they say, okay, now I see why we have to do X, Y, and Z. Now I see why I have to be accountable and set the example and report my numbers and have my recall roster on me and all those other things. So with that, you can try different methods. You can put them in your shoes, and then maybe they'll understand it better. So that's how I do it.
So from an Airman's perspective, I really can't give any other perspective, but for accountability, Chief said it, it's by example. If someone else is slacking off, that is contagious. They're gonna come over with bad attitude or just not with the proper standards. And are you gonna let that brush off onto yourself? Hold yourself accountable. Always remember why you are doing what you're doing and not what someone else is telling you. Even if it's right or wrong, you wanna get above the standard. Holding yourself accountable and then letting the standards enforce itself.
Yes, sir.
Mike Smith, Little Rock, Arkansas. Can you talk a little bit about your best or worst experience with the United States Air Force Academy graduate?
So could you give your best and worst experience you've had with Air Force Academy grads?
Nothing bad to say at all. I'm in CE, so we have a lot of academy grads as well as ROTC. But our civil engineers, we work hand in hand with our officers. Nobody comes in with this attitude like I'm better than you. And I've been at one base, so I can't speak for throughout the Air Force. But the ones I've countered so far are LTs. They're very respectful and very professional. They haven't treated any airman or anybody else with this, yeah, I got this degree, brush it off. I went to the Air Force Academy. No, they come and they're very engaged. So nothing negative to say. You guys are very professional and keep that attitude.
Unfortunately, I cross-trained, which means my original AFSC was information management. I cross-trained over the contracting. So when I entered contracting as a staff sergeant, I had a captain as a supervisor. I literally saw this captain 2 times. The first time was during the holidays. He wanted to ask me if I wanted holiday leave. And the second time was when he had to write my EPR. I saw him more, but those are the only 2 times he spoke to me. So there was no wanting to engage with me, get to know me, things of that nature. It was unfortunate, but he had some things going on in his life. I found out later that, he just had a lot going on. So that was my bad view on it, but there was a recovery. So my next supervisor, lieutenant out of the academy, very amazing. She watched my dog for me when I had to go TDY. She was very involved, very professional, wanting to know a lot about the enlisted force. So that was a much needed comeback. So thank you for that.
So let me start with saying, though, that anyone that could come here and do several years in school probably deserves a break when they get out of here, right? So I'll cut you some slack. But I think the faculty here, military, civilian, you do a masterful job of molding civilians into leaders for our Air Force. I want to start with that. We often hear about the one guy or gal, that guy, that gal. And we forget that we've got tens of thousands of others that are doing phenomenal things. So we go, hey, that one time, I've got way more, many more good experiences with academy grads than bad ones. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one. Not so horrible, but he learned real fast. So, got a young lieutenant. young lieutenant comes to my unit. The time I'm working in aircraft maintenance, and lieutenant comes in, and lieutenant decides he is the OIC for an AMU, aircraft maintenance unit, and he didn't quite have to listen to anybody else because he was a leader. Pulled him aside, as my commander said I should. Commander goes, hey, church him up. You know, church, putting it mild, I think you know what that means. Give him some guidance. So, hey, Lieutenant, we got to go to lunch, sir. All right, let's go to lunch. Lieutenant, you might want to look at it this way, all in the approach, right? Watch what you're doing. Oh, by the way, he believed he didn't have to listen to the chief either, because he was a lieutenant. He outranks him. Right, but you might want to listen. And so after about 3 times of talking to him, you know, comes on down, hey, I'm going in to see the boss. I can't stop you, but as the advisor to the commander, I'm just saying you might not want to bring that in there. Oh, I'm a lieutenant, I'm gonna. Okay. Hey, sir. I think, okay. You're on strike 4 now, you know what I'm saying? So he goes in. 10 seconds later, he comes out and his head is down. You know? Took us a while. And that lieutenant is now major. Took us a while to get through to him. But it was difficult because he had this belief. He was going to be a pilot. They made him an aircraft maintenance officer, and he had a chip on his shoulder, man. Real big chip. So it took him some time to come on down and realize it doesn't matter what your job is. Doesn't matter what happened to you. You're a part of the greatest Air Force, right? And so it took him a while, but just that attitude didn't quite get it that, you know, sometimes as a leader you got to fall back. Listen, follow. Leaders follow sometimes too. And so that's that. So good experiences, too many to count. Way too many to count. Last was my vice wing commander 2 assignments ago. I was the wing staff agency superintendent. You talk about being in lockstep. There wasn't a decision being made in that organization without me being at that table. So you could be a colonel down in a group. Hey, did you talk to the senior mass sergeant? But did you talk to the senior mass sergeant, especially if it's an enlisted issue? So value the enlisted force. But great many of our officers do that. The ones that come and, you know, there's some buffoonery surrounding them, they're few and far between. So, what's that? Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Considering the background of the Naval Brigade, I was wondering if you all have seen a trend that among the airmen out there, the airmen that come from foreign countries, I was wondering if they're often more proudful, more grateful to serve than others. If that is so, what can we learn from that?
So concerning airmen from other countries, correct? Do you find that they're more proud or prideful or happy to be in service than other airmen, and what can we learn from that?
I think we can learn from everyone. Doesn't matter where you're from. Mississippi, Utah, Florida, doesn't matter. Foreign country, doesn't matter. You see, that's the greatness of America. Doesn't matter what your name is, doesn't matter what you look like, you come here, you work hard, you can be successful. So I think you can learn from everyone, not just folks that were born in foreign countries. It might sound a little exotic to go, well, I was born in Jamaica, Trinidad, Canada, Bangladesh. Okay, there's no trend there, it just happened to be that we're in the 12th this year. I don't think there is, or maybe there's something I don't know. But I'd say for the others that were born on this soil, same patriotism, same level of commitment to duty, honor, and country. I don't think so. I think you can learn from those unique little experiences that we may have gone through some things in another country. At the end of the day, we're Americans. That's what we are now. So I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, pink, green, if you're born in whatever country. You know? Do you bleed blue like me? Right? Do you embrace the warrior ethos? Are you an American airman? That's what matters to me. And if you're all in, if we're all singing the same song, we're on the same sheet of music, we're good. I don't care where you're from. And I learn from everybody. Like I said, someone that might have been in North Dakota, maybe Utah, maybe New Hampshire, wherever. Don't care. You know, so just respect people. And for me, being a guy that was born in a foreign country, I don't think it's any different at all. Learn from everybody.
Foreign country culture. Same thing that you said. But I want to say yes, there's a little bit of, going back to your question, is being a little grateful because some people did not have the same opportunities. A lot of immigrants come here for the American dream. Not too many people talk about it these days. It's like, oh, 1960s thing, we don't talk about it anymore. But there are people, thousands of people around the world, millions of people, that are wanting to come here for the American dream. And to be an American, what does that mean to be an American? So to be grateful is not to get the things that they have, but to give back. I want to give back. I want to embrace being an American by giving back, because they've given me so much. It's not the same for everybody else where clean water, access to food and health care, it's not afforded to them every day. And so I got that and I received that and I'm grateful for it. So that's why, you know, I serve and I want to give back, not being grateful for what I have.
So I believe we have time for one more question. Yes, sir.
Second Lieutenant John Consulting from the CCLD. Especially a question for you, Senior Master Sergeant Alexander, sir. What do we do as a leader when we receive undeserved criticism? The kind of criticism where you make the right choice, you do the hard thing, and you know that it's what has to be done. You're setting the standard as high as it's supposed to be, and then nobody wants to meet it. And you get all the criticism in the world, and you know you probably don't deserve it. How do you deal with that?
So
What kind of question for you, sir? Who's criticizing you? Got it, copy. Here's what you do with that. Follow me? Brush it off. Dirt off your shoulders. Hey, people are gonna talk, no matter what, right? He's got a bald head. If I had hair, right? Oh, he's got hair, I don't think I like his hairline. People have something to say, right? That's what they do. They're gonna talk. So if you've got the character to do the right thing, right? You make the right calls. Not everybody will like it. But if you know you're doing the right thing within the letter of the law, right? According to the guidance our Air Force gives us, you live with that at the end of the day. You gotta. You're doing the right thing. Can't compromise that. People are gonna talk. They got mouths. That's it. They'll talk. So for me, you got to remember, you can't take that personal. Okay? Maybe that person that's talking, they might not be as educated. They might not have all the facts that you have. So if you have that opportunity to probably educate them, probably show them, hey, here's why this call was made, then maybe the results might be a bit different, or maybe not. Maybe they'll still talk. You know, maybe they just don't like you. Kidding them. You know, so you're never gonna get away from that, I believe. So you've got to just, hey, criticism is good. You get criticism, you listen to it, dissect it. You know, maybe there's some value there. But if you're going, hey, I'm doing the right thing, what I'm supposed to do, you got some trusted folks around you as well, bounce things off them. You know, we all have mentors. If you don't, find a few. Got peers. Senior Master Sergeant Henry is one of my peers. You know, rock star, man. Rock star in the comm world. So, hey, that's Sergeant Henry right here. Senior Master Sergeant Henry. So she was one of our assistant career field managers in the cyberspace support world. Tremendous task. We're going across like 11 AFSCs, doing great things for like 43,000 plus total force airmen. Am I right? Am I on? All right. I studied it. Yeah. So Sergeant Henry, you know you have the chief, and then you have the seniors and the master sergeants. So I don't have to tell you, right, the great deal of work that she's done for our people. People are still going to criticize. Hey, tighten your belt, lace your boots up, do what you think is right. Keep doing what you think is right. We talk. Hey, do you think I'm on track here? Vector me if you don't think I am. You got to find those trusted advisors. You just got to keep on going. Keep doing what you think is right for our airmen, for our Air Force. People are going to talk regardless.